That sounds great. I hope I'm recording as well.
Okay.
Well, I am so excited that we are here today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with all of you. We will begin our session now.
And I will go ahead and introduce you. Today's speaker is an award-winning communication consultant, professional speaker, certified coach, and author of the book, Maximize Your Brilliance. She helps individual groups and organizations attract publicity to be seen, heard, and recognized. As the past executive managing director for eWomen Network, she understands how important it is to have an elevator speech that people remember. She is currently pursuing her master's degree in communications and recently earned her distinguished Toastmaster designation. She is freelance social media manager as well as the public relations manager for District 8 Toastmasters. Please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Darlene Willman.
Oh, you can hold your applause, I guess. If we were all together here in the same room, I would hope that we would all be having a great time and clapping and cheering and all that stuff. But since we are here virtually, we're going to have fun anyway. One of the things I'm going to ask you to do, first of all, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. And so one of the things that I am going to ask of you, I like to have most of the things unmuted. So if you want to take your microphone off of mute, I'm good with that. And it gives me a chance to kind of hear you and we can be more engaging. Good morning, all my fellow Toastmasters and leaders of District 8. Let me ask you, how many of you in here attend networking events or other organizational club meetings or things like that? Go ahead and just raise your hand so that I can get an idea of, you can raise either your virtual hand or your real hand. Okay, great, great. Well, I want you to know that today's session is going to help you, not just for promoting Toastmasters, but this is also things that you can take into your own professional life in other areas. And you'll learn how to introduce yourself and be engaging with other people. So everything that you see and learn today, you will be able to adapt and be able to implement for your own personal use. So give me just a minute here. I just realized that my screen is covering up some of the people here. I want to make sure that I can see everybody. Okay. Let me start again. First of all, I'd like to go ahead and thank our Zoom master today. Josephine Marino, MD, is our Zoom master. She will be working together with me in making sure that we have a great experience today. Again, a little housekeeping here. Opening your mic so that I can hear you. Again, if you have any background noise, just go ahead and put yourself back on mute. And just so you know, this presentation is being recorded. It's a very interactive session today. So I'm going to be asking you to engage in some of the questions and all the fun things that we're going to be having here. You can raise your virtual hand or you can raise your real hand. Keep in mind, I don't get to see you guys as much because I have to share my screen. It takes up all the space. So I'm going to be relying on Josephine to be filling us in. In the chat box, you can add your comments and questions or anything like that. And again, thank you so much, Josephine, for being here and being our Zoom master today. What to expect during our presentation and our time together. First of all, we're going to be doing a little breaking of the ice. We all know what that means because we all do the icebreakers in our club. And it's usually a way for people to get to know you a little bit. I'm going to be talking to you about the elevator speech formula. There's going to be brainstorming activities. You're going to be designing and creating great questions. It's always about the questions that we have that are always available in our pocket to share with people. We're going to identify problems. We're going to develop some keywords about your audience, and then we're going to share benefits and solutions. And at the very end, everybody gets to practice your introduction. I only have a minute, 60 seconds, all it's in it. Forced upon me, I didn't choose it, but I know that I must use it. Give account if I abuse it. Suffer if I lose it. Only a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. Good morning again, all my fellow Toastmasters. I've been a Toastmaster for 3.5 years now, and I'm a member of the Cave Springs Toastmasters Club. I was the vice president of public relations for a couple of years. Actually, my very first year, I was the club secretary, and then I was the VP of public relations for the next 2 years. Currently, I'm your public relations manager for the district, and I joined Toastmasters to get a better control over my ums and ahs. Do you guys have problems with ums and ahs and crutch words? I used to do radio interviews and TV shows and all kinds of fun things in my past life. And I went back and listened to a lot of the replays. And every single time I heard an and ah, it ruined it for me. I joined Toastmasters to get a control over that. With that being said, it is now your turn. This is what we want to know. We want to know how long you've been a Toastmaster, what club you're in, and if you are an officer in your club, and why you decided to join Toastmasters. I would like to hear from those people that are joining us in our audience today. Who's got something that they would like to share? You can raise your virtual hand, take yourself off of mute. Who wants to go first? All right, I see we have a volunteer in the audience. Josh.
My name's Josh. I've been in Toastmasters since 2020, and I am a member of Toast of Woo, and I am also Vice President of Public Relations.
Very nice. And why did you join Toastmasters?
Actually, it was because Karen forced me to do it.
Forced to do it.
I was forced, under duress, definitely.
Oh, great. Thanks for sharing. Kimberly, how about you?
Hi, I'm Kimberly. I've been a Toastmaster since February of this year. I'm with my corporate unit group club. I am Vice President membership, and I joined Toastmasters to really get to know everyone. Since we are all remote, I don't get a chance to meet new people. And since I've joined Toastmasters, I've like tripled the number of people that I know at my company. So it's been great, getting to know people. And
wow.
Yeah. Thank
you. Fantastic. Thanks for joining us this morning. Would somebody else like to share? Again, I'm trying to see who I got. I'm Maureen. I see you. You've got your hand raised.
Yes, I am in Toastmasters now almost 10 years. We'll have our 10-year anniversary coming up in 2024. I'm currently the president, and thank God Josh Callahan is in our Toast of Woo group. I'm so thankful for that guy.
A mandatory CPR class,
and he is
from
fantastic.
9 to 10:15.
That's wonderful. So if you have your microphone off mute and you're speaking to other people behind you, can you make sure you put yourself on mute, please? Thank you so much. I know it's kind of hard to make sure that we know that we're being aware of all of this. All right. Who else would like to go ahead? Kay?
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I joined Midtown Clayton in 2010 at the recommendation of my business coach, Bill Collier, who's an active member for many years at South County.
That's why you joined?
Did someone else join? I joined. And did not procrastinate. And I just keep coming back. I'm currently the secretary, treasurer, and assistant to the public relations person, and I'm a past president. I've learned so much. Not the
That's
best
awesome.
at giving formal speeches, but I show up and I step up and I sign up.
I love that. That's great. I think I might have to use that. You show up, you step up. What was the last part of it?
Sign up.
And sign up. Oh, I love that. I have to make sure that we have that written down.
I've
Thank you
used it
so
for a
much.
couple of years.
That's really good. I love that.
It's
You know,
in
it's
all
always
my
interesting when you say
Toastmasters
those things.
correspondence.
When you repeat things like that are catchy like that, that's kind of like your little hook in a sense. That's fantastic. I know there was a couple of other hands that were raised, and again, unfortunately, I don't get to see who has their hands raised. So I'm not going to call on you. Just go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
I think Maureen was first. I think Maureen was first. She had her hand up.
Oh, Maureen, yes, I
And
see her
had
hand
mine up.
raised.
My hand was up and I took it down. Sorry.
Okay, Maureen, you want to go ahead?
Maureen, you're muted.
Yes, I spoke a while ago. I just forgot to take my hand down.
I thought so. Okay. Mike, I
Sorry.
see your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to share. I've been in Toastmasters for 20 years in 3 different states. And
Wow.
I am the current club. I was vice president of education, voted in, and been a member at Express Scripts, which is Script Masters. It's a good corporate club. And I'm VPE there. And we had a change in some employee changes there, and our president actually was no longer there, so I'm now the VPE and the president. And we suffered from COVID, and we're online meetings, and we've actually had a great job of bringing our club back. We've got 6 to 7 new members. We attended one of the first open houses or in-person town halls. Both Jackie Kim Blackard and I was there. We also put out a lot of flyers, and one of the successful pieces that we did was we took down that orientation PowerPoint and we broke it down into 4 1/2-hour sessions and recorded them. So our 6 and 7 new members now all stick like glue and actually come.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
So we're building back better, which is the term in politics, right? But we are building our club back better. And I love Toastmasters. I was the president of everything since I've been in 4-H at 12 years old, and I've always spoken in public and everything else. And I finally decided to do that once I settled down a little bit 20 years ago, and then I've been in probably 7 different clubs.
Wow, Mike, it's a pleasure having you here, fellow 4-H member, right here, right?
I was actually I was the Future Farmers of America. That's where I really fell in love with it. I am an impromptu speaker. If you want me to give a 5 or 6 page, structured speech, I'm horrible, but you can give me a topic on a piece of paper, and in 30 minutes, I can research and give you a presentation for 15 minutes.
I love that. I love that. Thank you, Mike, so much. Let's see. One more person.
I can go next. I was looking at the pictures and I don't see anybody else's hand up. Except mine. I'll go next. I'm the president of Jeffco Challengers. I've been president several different times. I basically held all offices except secretary. Because of my hearings, I don't think I can take very good notes. So I don't do that particular office. But I joined Toastmasters because I was very, very shy. Toastmasters has helped me every time I need something, I can call on somebody. We have some great Toastmasters. Elaine Curry is my mentor. I call Herman Kester if I have a problem with Free Toast Host. I call John Berry or I text John Berry, and John Berry always answers me and gives me suggestions, whatever the case may be. Toastmaster has really taken me out of my shell. And I see somebody in the chat, so let me give you
Thank you, Josephine. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and move on. We did go a little longer than anticipated, but I'm so glad you guys introduced yourselves and had a chance to do a little sort of informal networking in a sense. Let me dive right into more of our presentation. We'll be able to come back at the end and be able to introduce and talk to each other a little more. But remember, when we're talking about an introduction, we're talking about an elevator speech, which takes you 30 to 60 seconds. So we want to get very clear and succinct on how we do that. So this elevator speech formula is really how you're going to go out and introduce yourself and introduce your club, or vice versa. And the screen says, and introduce your club and yourself. Okay. What I want to share with you is little bits and pieces of what this elevator speech formula will look like. First of all, it's the hook. It's what grabs their attention. Now in Toastmasters, we teach you open your speech with a hook. Now, what is a hook? It's something to capture their attention, but most of the time it's a question. Our brains will automatically start thinking of an answer. When you ask a question to somebody, they're going to immediately lean in, they're going to listen a little closer. So the beginning of your introduction should always start with not your name, because we're all programmed into saying, hi, my name is Darlene Willman, and I do blah, blah, blah. People forget that part of you right away. Nobody remembers a name very well. But if you ask them a question in the beginning, that'll capture their attention so that they'll want to know more. And I'll just give you an example here. And then in a minute, we're going to go into the brainstorming activity piece of this. One of the hooks could be, have you attended this event before? How often do you attend networking events? Do you go to other meetings or do you have more meetings scheduled today? Do you see where I have just other questions when I'm approaching somebody at a meeting, at an event, that I have a question to ask them right away? Let's move into the brainstorming portion of this presentation. So again, I'm going to have you guys raise your virtual hand, since it is a little easier for me to see it on the screen. And I'm going to have you share maybe what's a question that you could have that's available and ready in your back pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started here. So who's ready to ask a question? Who has a question? Just an example of some questions. We're going to jot these all down. So just unmute your mic. Herman, I see that you have a question.
You're muted, Herman.
Yeah, I changed. Now I got it. Do you like attending meetings?
Oh, I like that. So do you like attending meetings? I'm not sure very many people are going to like attending meetings, but it's a great question, right? Okay, who do we have next here? We have, let's see.
John Barry's got.
Yeah, I see that. Go ahead, John.
Okay. Sure, I've got a question. Meet somebody on the elevator. Does your organization communicate well between your functions?
Okay, that's not too bad. I like that. All right. Anyone else have a question?
I have one on the elevator. And when you don't know anyone, just turn around to the person you want to address and say, are you going to the third floor?
Oh, that's a simple one. I like that. Very nice. Very nice.
And of course, you better be ready to follow up with why you want to know.
That's right. That's right. And Josephine, you had a question.
Sure. When I was Pathway Guide, I always used to use a form of my name to ask a question. And I would say, which is harder, studying so many years to become a doctor or marrying someone with the last name pronounced MD?
MD. Oh, that's cute.
And that introduced me because my name is Josephine Marino, MD, but it also made them think, what would they like to do better? Marrying somebody with the name of MD or studying all those years? And if you married an MD, until death do you part.
Great. Thank you, Josephine, for sharing that. All right. Well, that gave us a few ideas of different questions that we can have ready to ask somebody when you meet them for the first time. And it's almost like that old line that, so you come here often? So we want to make sure that we have some kind of question to pique their interest when you first meet someone. Let's go ahead and move on to the actual problem. Now, this is where we're going to be thinking about what is it that we solve for people? What does Toastmasters do to solve those problems? So be thinking about this because guess what? It's brainstorming time again. I told you this was an interactive session. We're going to be talking about why do people come to Toastmasters? What do we do, or what are the problems that they tend to see? Are these problems that, let's say that they are extremely shy? Maybe they have trouble speaking to people outside of their traditional circle. So raise your virtual hand and let's brainstorm some ideas as to what the problems are that people may face. Go ahead, Josephine.
Yes, I see a problem. People coming into a Toastmaster meeting that sometimes they're not very well welcomed. The people that are in Toastmasters just having conversations amongst each other, and the new person walks in and goes, okay, well, I'm new here. What am I supposed to be doing? And nobody said hello to me yet.
Okay, all right. So we're going a little off topic. What I mean by this problem is, what problem does a person have that they say, I need to go to Toastmasters?
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. Kathy, you have some suggestions too as well?
Something like, do you also have a problem of giving a speech and forgetting to breathe? That was a big
that's
problem of
good.
mine. I'd hyperventilate myself almost.
Oh my gosh, that's good. Evelyn, how about you? What problems do you think people may have when they come into Toastmasters?
So the ones I came up with was, are you really shy? Do you have a problem, just conveying your message? Do you hate chit chat and small talk that you have to do at certain certain events?
Good one.
Do you know how to construct a speech so you do get your message across?
Very nice. Thank you, Evelyn. Mike, how about you?
I always like to ask the why. And when you start the conversation with the why, or what brings you here, why did you decide to come and join us today as a visitor, and really listen to their why. And I find that there are people who are really smart that are on conference calls, but they never speak up. But if you've been an executive very long, there's always that one person's kind of the quiet performer. I call them the person who works in the salt mine for you and is the expert on what have you. But if you ask them to speak impromptu on a call, they will literally be crushed. But coaching them into going, what can we do in Toastmasters to help you? So, for example, if they say, well, I need to get more exposure in this virtual world because we're not in the office anymore, I would say there's some great ways we can help you with that at Toastmasters. And I think helping them with the what and the why, and not trying to solve their problem, but going, here's some of the things that we do. If you've ever been on a virtual meeting and you hear crickets, right? Nobody wants to sign up for the table topics. But you go, hey, Sally, remember? Oh yeah, I'll sign up now. I'll do it now. You know what I mean? They do it, but most people do not raise their hands. So.
Gotcha. And I believe, speaking of raised hands, Kay, did you have something you were going to contribute here?
I forgot what I was going to ask.
Okay, that's okay. All right. I just want to make sure I didn't miss you.
I will say, in response to MD, I love that. So come up with a way to play on my name.
Yep, that's great.
The other is, I saw an article years ago about, I make it my job every club meeting to be sure to speak to everyone, particularly the new people, because it's difficult to walk into that room. So that's my
almost
job.
overcoming fear, right? Maybe the problem is they're afraid, right? A lot of times people are afraid to speak up or are afraid to introduce themselves and connect. That's very good. Thank you so much, Kay. Okay, I'm going to move on to our next challenge, which is the audience. Who do we serve? And a lot of times people assume, hey, it's everybody, right? We think everybody and everybody anywhere. If you have a pulse and you have a heartbeat, if you have a voice, you should be a member of Toastmasters. The reality comes down to there are specific people that actually join Toastmasters, and there's a handful of reasons why they become members. So our audience can be very specific. And in this picture, I want you to see that all the other faces are blurred out except for that one woman who's looking straight at you in this camera. When you're doing your introductions, I want you to be thinking of one person in particular that you typically would serve. Is it somebody that perhaps it's somebody in your company? Maybe you have a private club. Perhaps it's, well, again, if I was going to put this in context, let's say it is busy people, for example. They want to be able to work on themselves, but they don't have very much time. 1 hour a week, they can come to Toastmasters and help develop that. Or maybe it's someone that is a public speaker. Maybe it's someone who's a manager that has a sales team. Let's dive into some of those keywords that will describe your audience. So who wants to raise their hand and get us started about this brainstorming session? All right, let's see. Kimberly.
My audience, we have a private corporate club and it's varied professional. Right now, we have people in IT and we have people in sales. So we have a really big audience, but everyone's trying to focus on being able to communicate via Zoom. Everyone's struggling with that. So it's someone who wants to learn to communicate better in a more corporate setting.
Perfect. I like that. I like the fact that you introduced the whole communication factor, because that is a big piece of what we do at Toastmasters. We help people communicate better. Anyone else want to share some keywords about their audience? The people that you serve.
Evelyn here. So
Yes.
most of my members are incarcerated, and they do not, when they get out, they do not want to sound like someone who's been incarcerated for 5 or more years. And they also want to do something beyond just the regular therapies that they have, and actually talk about other subjects and learn how to communicate with people normally again. And so, yeah, it's definitely personal development, and they love that it's communication and leadership.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing, Evelyn. I appreciate that. Anyone else have some keywords that they want to share about their target audience? Again, I want you to be thinking that it's not just everybody and anybody. You want to have the person in mind. Liz, I see you have your hand up. Oh, you might be on mute. Liz, I think there you go.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't find my little.
It's okay. I finally found the controls for the audience, so we're good now.
Yes. I would say introverted people who need to learn to connect with people, especially if they've been, well, under kind of lockdown for a couple of years. Things have changed a lot. I'm retired. I have been much on my own devices for most of the day. And
Good point, Liz.
It's a good way to keep communicating with people and keep active.
Perfect.
So I think that's a good reason. And I think also reaching out to people who want to practice their English speaking skills is a good audience.
Perfect. Thank you, Liz, for sharing. I'm going to ask Maureen, that she'll be our last person to contribute. Maureen, go ahead.
Sure. In our group, I think it's trying not to use filler words as we're networking and having fun. And we have fun before our meeting and engage in conversations. It's about, that connection, getting to know each other and having fun in the process.
Perfect. Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and move into our solution. How do we fix their problems? What is it that we offer at Toastmasters that can help fix whatever the reason why they're coming to see us to begin with? So let's kind of go back into our brainstorming session and kind of share some of those benefits of what Toastmasters can do. So who wants to start us off with raising their virtual hand or jumping in and sharing what one of the benefits of Toastmasters might be?
How about camaraderie?
Perfect. Camaraderie is great. Ellen.
I would say, when you give a speech, it's constructive, constructive, not really criticism, but give you good points about your speech and then things to work on. So it's kind of like not a shaming type of thing, but just giving good feedback.
Perfect. Love it. Anybody else have something they want to contribute here for our benefit?
John Barry has his hand up.
John?
Okay. I think it's confidence in being able to share your opinion and participate in discussions.
Perfect. I love that.
Kay has her hand up.
Okay, Kay. I can see it now, Josephine, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Kay.
Okay. I keep saying Toastmasters is the place to practice so you're ready for the big game out in the real world.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Excellent. Evelyn, how about you?
I tell people it's a training workshop, and like Elaine was saying, you can take as long as you want, to go at your own pace. But if you take other programs, you can bring that here and incorporate it and practice here.
Love it. Love it. Raul, how about you?
So when we talk to potential people who we want to invite to Toastmasters, typically what we talk about is, hey, it will improve your communication skills, it will elevate your leadership potential, and so on and so forth. When we say that, what I've observed, and this is human psyche, right? If you tell that to a person, the person might interpret that he or she does not have those qualities, or they lack those qualities severely. What we have tried doing over the past several months is to move that conversation to a overall wellness angle.
Oh, I like that.
And
wellness.
And there is a slide. I don't have it right now, but I can certainly share it later. But what we do is we talk about a survey of Fortune 500 companies where there are distinct statistics that prove that investing 1 hour every other week, not necessarily in Toastmasters, but for your personal development, leads to A, B, C, D. And the top two are related to wellness, attrition, and all of those things, which are very crucial to leadership. We are very important to people who want to advance themselves. When you bring that wellness conversation, people become more receptive, and then they say, okay, tell me more. And that's what we have seen.
Thank you, Raul. And finally, we're going to have our one last person. I see Herman has his hand up, and then we'll move on to our next slide. So what is the one thing that you would like to share about the benefits of Toastmasters?
What I always tell them, and this is something that they don't realize, is it helps you in the future running meetings. It also improves your writing.
Nice. Very good. Thank you for sharing, Herman. I'm going to move on to the invitation. Now, the invitation is you always want to have something to invite them to. So even when you're out and about and you're networking, invite them to attend your next meeting. So those are things that are easy to do. And finally, you want to end with the name, your personal name, and your club. You want to save the best for last. And typically, people will remember your name more because it's the last thing they heard. So remove yourself from those whole temptation of introducing yourself with your first name and last name in the very beginning and make that at the end. I want to go ahead and just kind of give you the formula. Now, the formula here is the hook, the problem, the audience, plus the solution, plus your invitation, and your name and club. I would like to go ahead and give you an example here, if I can. Have you ever struggled with what to say when you meet someone? That's your hook. Maybe you hate public speaking. That's the problem. I help busy professionals, that's the audience, gain the confidence to speak and communicate better so they can talk to complete strangers. That's the solution. I'm a member of Toastmasters. Would love to have you join me at one of our meetings. We meet every Wednesday at 8 a.m. That's the invitation. My name is Darlene Willman, and I'm with the Cave Springs Toastmasters Club. Do you see how this all kind of comes together? We kind of did it separate, little pieces together, that kind of thing. We do have a few minutes that it's your turn. I'm going to have you take yourself off of mute, raise your hand, your virtual hand, and let's hear what you have. What is your opening hook? You want to share your problem, include your specific audience, your solution, give them your invitation, and then finally wrap up with the name, your personal name, and your club. Who wants to go and do this? Let's practice some introductions real quick. Go ahead and raise your virtual hand. Come on, I know somebody wants to try and practice. We're all friends here.
Sure, I'll go.
All right, Josephine, go ahead. Oh, wait, was it Josephine? Yeah, you said you were going to go, right?
I don't think I raised my hand, but I'll go.
Who said I'll go? Because I didn't really see it there.
It's Maureen.
Oh, Maureen. Go ahead, Maureen. You have the microphone.
I just overheard you talking that you have a problem when you get in front of an audience or maybe in front of your teammates with trying to get your ideas across without using filler words. Well, our Toastmasters group, Toast of Woo, meets every Tuesday. We're a safe place to practice getting rid of filler words, trying to get across our message in a concise way. You're welcome to join us. We meet every Tuesday. I'm Maureen Claycamp, and I'm with Toast of Woo.
Love it. Yay, let's all give her a round of applause. Thank you, Maureen, for sharing that. Do we have someone else that would like to practice there? Oh, I see Art's ready to do it. Art, you've got the microphone.
I was applauding Maureen.
That's an applause. Okay, not a raised hand. Okay, they look very similar. Anyone else like to step up to the microphone and practice their introduction?
Hey, this is Patty. I'll try one.
All right, Patty, you've got it.
Okay. Have you been in meetings where nothing is accomplished? Where there isn't even an agenda, or if there is, it isn't followed? I'm like you. I've been in too many meetings that are just wasting my time. Well, I'm in Toastmasters, and we learn to follow agendas. come join me at the Marion VA Toastmasters this week. On Friday, we're going to be having a potluck. We'd love to have you. It's at 12 noon, and my name is Patty.
I love that. What a great job you did. Let's give it up for Patty. Yay! Who else is going to take a hold of this microphone that we have and give their introduction? We still have a couple of minutes. Go ahead.
Wow. After talking to you for a few minutes, I see you have a lot of valuable information that other people would love to have. Have you ever thought about becoming a professional speaker? I did, and now I have my own podcast. Plus, I'm a Toastmaster. I belong to Creve Coeur Toastmasters, and we meet every Thursday night at 5:30 at the Thornton Hill Library. If you need more information, here's my card. I'd love to have you come to a meeting.
And finally, tell us your name and your club. Oh, Casey bounced.
Oh, Creve Coeur Toastmasters.
Okay. Just make sure that you always end with your name so that people will remember who you are when you leave. Fantastic. I think we have time for one more. Anybody else would like to take a hold of this microphone and give their introduction? Just practice with us. I don't see anybody else here, so I guess I'm going to move on and just say thank you all so much for joining me today. Y'all did great. I hope this was beneficial for you. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Was there any comments in the chat box or anything that we need to discuss or talk about? Any questions? Go ahead.
Darlene, I was checking the chat box constantly, and all I see is people saying hello and hi in the beginning. Also, Kay said, show up, step up, and sign up. So I picked that up.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else in the chat box.
All right. Well, I am just so pleased to be here today and spending an hour together, well, close to an hour together. And I'm here in case you guys have questions. I'd like to go ahead and thank our Zoom master, Josephine Marino, MD. She did a fabulous job. I knew she would. And I hope that you guys can use this out in the real world. Put your own twist and flavor and pizzazz into your introduction, and people will start remembering you and joining you at your Toastmasters meetings. If anybody has any further things that they would like to discuss, again, I'm here for you. Make sure you join us on our Facebook group. It's for the members only of Toastmasters. Evelyn, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead.
So do you have like a top 3 openers that you go with when you walk into an elevator, it's completely silent, to strike up a conversation, or what do you use?
It's a great question. If I'm in an elevator, I might go, oh my gosh, is this slow or is it me? I'm going to like come out with some kind of crazy question just randomly. When you're at a meeting, I might say, have you heard this speaker before? Or, you know, what other meetings do you go to? And if you find out that people like to attend meetings because they're going to meetings all the time anyway, invite them to your meeting. Sometimes that's a great clue. Good question, Evelyn. Did that help?
Yes.
Good. Anybody else have any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I would like to thank Darlene for putting this together. She has helped me so much in promoting my club by doing a, what do they call it? I can't think of it right now.
The news release?
A news release. Thank you very much, Darlene. You've been great. There have been tremendous amount of people helping me that I don't know how to use the computer so well. And I want to thank everyone for letting me be their Zoom master and actually get practice in being a Zoom master. Thank you all.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, I believe our time might be up. I'm not sure. Do you know, Josephine, what time we were going to be wrapping up? I believe it was at 11:45.
Actually, we have about 5 minutes before we have to end the class.
Okay, so we can have some discussion going on here. Please reach out to me. Again, I'm your public relations manager. I'm usually always in the Facebook group, but you can always connect with me. I do have my contact information here on the screen. If you go to linktodarlene.com, that'll take you to my personal, or my professional, I should say, LinkedIn page where we can connect and we can stay together. Because I love to connect and network with people. I do want to tell you though, in the program, it discusses a networking event that I'm organizing for District 8 that's coming up in January. I believe it's the 26th. And I would love to see everybody there. I want you to take what you've learned in today's session and bring it to that networking event in January. Again, I appreciate everyone being here today, and I'm going to go ahead and finish our recording. I will be here to answer any other questions that you may have. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen if I can figure out where to go to do that.
Go back to share your screen.
There we go. Again, thank you all so much for joining us today.
So Darlene?
Yes.
That's on January 26th, your
Yes.
networking event?
Yes.
What time? And is it Zoom or?
It's actually in person, and it's from 5 to 7. And you just need to show up and we'll have a little fun. We're going to invite the public to come out and network with District 8 members.
And where's this going to be held?
It's going to be at the Community Commons. It's in your program, and it's at the Spencer Road Library in St. Peters. So again, I just want to finish real quick here, stop our recording, and we can stay and chat if you'd like. But thanks again for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed this.